Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Live long and prosper.
To Class L Probe. Spilling the tea, Earl Grey, hot. And we are your keen minds here tonight. So-called.
Yep. Davin and Dave, you're, indeed.
Yep. Playing
That's
some
us.
Taylors.
Playing some...
Mm-hmm. Yep. And with us, as always, the birthday boy, Mr. Handsome, as we call him around here, Adam Woodward.
Thank you, guys. I'm happy to be back with you so soon after our last little.
Indeed.
I was up to the challenge because you were all like, "We keep saying we're going to do it, and we don't do it." I'm like, "Oh, we're doing it. We're doing it this time.
We're doing it." And here we are, doing it.
We heard spilling some tea. Or this.
Yeah.
We're just spilling. We're just spilling things.
Man.
So,
all right.
Why don't we calibrate the system? Why don't we just send one off and calibrate the system here? Let's launch a probe. Let's launch a probe here. Here we go. All right, info's coming in pretty quick on that one. All right. Basingstoke is in Westphalia? Well, seems to be working to me. All right, so let's fire off. It's a Basingstoke in Westphalia.
Basingstoke. Take this bus to Luton.
Sorry, a little Monty Python for you there, people.
Indeed.
You know what? I never played the probe intro.
Let's launch a probe into it.
There it is.
Well, particularly appropriate today, as 2/3 of our
questions
are Picardian.
So we sent Adam our two debates or topics we wanted to talk about. He's like, "You guys are heavy tonight." So I'm gonna.
You are heavy tonight, and I was wondering, did you talk to cousin Dave and tell him what my topic is? You don't spill it yet, but I wondered if you did.
Oh, certainly. No
he's
Earl
seen
Grey
them
on this account.
Yeah, because he just might show up. He loves that so much.
Who, cousin Dave?
Right.
I didn't tell him no.
Okay.
But he usually does show up in the comments for these Class L probes.
We'll have to see if
we'll see. Why does he have a lot to say about Rosa?
He's a great defender.
Well, we'll get to that, won't we? All right, let's fire off the first probe here.
We should destroy the probe.
War.
That was the decoy. He never sees the second one. All right. Should Picard have been removed from duty after the events of Wolf 359? Well, why did I pick this one? I picked this one because I feel like this might be like, I don't know if I would say the age-old debate, but this seems to be a big debate, I would think, among hardcore Trekkies and TNG people. Because it just seems so sudden. He's there there seems to be some time lapse, but he's back basically the next episode. He goes and hangs out with his brother for a couple of days, and then he's back at it. Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think about this one? And as we know, anyone who's watching this show probably knows, he was taken over by the Borg, made Locutus of Borg. He made to kill countless Starfleet officers.
11,000
based on the knowledge taken from him. And
what was the number, Dave?
11,000 some.
11,000. Well, I guess it's not countless.
I think it's 11,286, but I'm not sure. Yes, but I don't know.
And starships and cruisers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, where do you guys stand? Any opening thoughts on this one?
Well, I think in terms of timeline, so we're dealing with the transition from season 3 to season 4.
Yep.
Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and Part 2, and then the next episode in season 4.
It was 4 to 5. I'm sorry. Anyway, it doesn't
It
matter.
was
No.
end of
Season
season
4.
3. Yeah.
It was okay.
So what we know at the when he gets to La Barre, France, right?
Mhm.
We know that the Enterprise is having some repairs done because it got pretty beat up in the fight. So they've been there for a number of weeks. So part of the question to me is, right, like if Picard's got some time off, but did he get adequate time away? Or should he be removed from duty entirely? Like, what's the scope of the question in some respects, right? Like, should he ever be a Starfleet captain again? Because I think that's like one extreme here. Or like, should he be back after the amount of time we see him gone for? And where do we find ourselves relative to that?
See, that's interesting. Sorry, Adam, 1 second. One reply to that. That's the reason I picked this, actually, because there's that, but there's also there's all the Picard concerns and what it's done to him and how he'll react to that and all of that, which is what you just brought up quite eloquently as always. But the other aspect of this question, which is why I picked it, because I felt like it's kind of two-sided, and in this part, I don't think it's talked about much. Did Starfleet adequately evaluate the ongoing threat that could still linger with Picard? Like, do they know enough about the Borg to say that he's just that's not an issue anymore, and that type of thing? Because he does still hear them when they're around, so there's still something
It became
going
a big
on there.
part of First Contact, if you remember too.
Yeah. So yeah. So I feel like there's two sides of it. What say you, Adam? Maybe there's a third side even.
Well, a couple of things. When I read your questions this morning, I was like thinking about how they would have written that in 2020s. Best of both worlds. Because this was you said season 3, so 1989-ish.
Yeah.
I think
maybe 90 into 91.
Yeah. Either way, the concerns about people's well-being and mental health were a little different back then than they certainly are today. And concern and understanding that things and trauma happens. And I mean, Dave, you know better than probably the three of us here, the two of us, pardon me, is how people react and how the time they need to heal from these kind of events. So that was my first thought. Then I got to where you were going. Was Picard ready? Probably not. And then, of course, is I don't think the Federation or Starfleet could possibly understand how deep he was affected, but more than that, a threat that he carried.
That seems to be the case, especially with what we see in Picard series, where they just had sleeper people everywhere that could be activated, like sleeper agents.
Now, coming back to my first point, though, is, clearly the writers back then knew, and to create the role of Deanna, the ship's counselor, was important enough. But it seems to me either, Picard is stoic and refuses to admit when he's weak or whatever, and he doesn't take the counsel, or, I guess that, or she just sort of rushes his concerns and sort of thinks like she can be there the whole time whenever he comes weak or needs some help.
She's the constant oversight. She's just maybe that's what Starfleet's thinking too. It's just like, Deanna, you're there. Like, watch him carefully. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they do allude to other relationships and more understanding they have over the years. But I think that might have been a more interesting relationship between those two than Guinan and Deanna, honestly. Just not Guinan and Picard.
I agree with you. I think him and Deanna had one of the more interesting relationships on that show.
Yeah. And we don't get to see them interact a huge amount other than on the bridge, right?
But that scene after Chain of Command where he sits down at the end just quietly next to her and tells her about how he still saw that's crazy. And she just, the way she sits, it's just the way she sits next to him. It's all just a very subtly acted scene, but it's some of the best acting on that show.
Well, you can tell they do have a therapeutic relationship in that moment, right? Like that he's used to confiding in her. But I think there's a side of this that your comments brought up to me, Adam, insofar as Starfleet people may see some crazy stuff, right? And people may meet nifty aliens or whatever, but in many ways, the populations of the Federation live extremely peaceful lives, right? Like there's lots of folks who might never have, especially humans in and around Earth, who might never really have experienced a whole lot of suffering or trauma in huge measure, right? And I wonder if they even have a good idea of what that would do to him, you know? Because I mean, when we're watching Star Trek, we're seeing the frontier of their frontier, right? Like we're seeing their boldly going out where people haven't gone before and running into stuff that hasn't happened to them already.
But
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, what you're thinking there. I think that though, during this era of Star Trek, I mean, they started touching on it. They introduced Deanna in that role. You know that we've had wars, and people have been traumatized. And I'm thinking more, next gen, Pegasus, Captain.
Well, and I think that's where we go with this. You're absolutely right. Please go on.
Yeah. And then you know, one of my favorite Deep Space Nine episodes when Nog, or was Nog? Who lost his leg? Help me out here. Nog lost his leg. They really started on it, but they didn't take it anywhere really. Just it sort of was neatly ended really quickly. That was a really cool.
Well, episode. Like there's the whole big episode where he won't leave the holodeck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it ended very quickly. Yeah. You know, things like this, you know, that should take, like Picard's recovery should have taken a lot longer than whatever it did, or what we perceived it to be.
Well, and it's funny, right? Because there's a form of therapy that TV shows really implicitly seem to like, right? Because there's like a dramatic narrative bursting of the dam, and then things can kind of resolve to a new equilibrium after that, right?
Yeah,
like they have the fight in the vineyard, and then he says, I wasn't strong enough, right. I couldn't beat them, and then they drink some really great wine, and he can kind of begin to pull himself together after that.
Wine? Oh, I thought it was sour meat.
But wasn't that so reminiscent though of like you consider like the fighter pilots World War I and II, where you know they come back to the bar, get stinking drunk, and then get back up and do it the next day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I guess that what I'm saying is there's a variety. There's a particular brief course therapy called intensive short-term psychodynamic therapy, which literally aims for what it calls the head-on collision between the therapist and the client, right? The patient, involved in like bringing out those feelings that are involved with the trauma, or the murderous rage, the, you know, powerful shame or guilt or powerlessness and all those things, and is involved in sort of bringing them out and directing them in a kind of cataclysmic, cathartic thing. It's certainly not indicated for a huge variety of mental illnesses, but for some, particularly rage disorders, it's really can be very useful, right? But it seems to me that like that's sort of Hollywood's map for how to fix any psychological issue, is to go, bam, have a big head-on collision, volcanic eruption, and then you can have a big kind of cathartic moment, and then kapew, we're okay.
It's the quickest way.
Right? And you know, it's not an impossible thing, but it does seem to me that is not for what Picard suffered, which is like just a total destruction and dissociation of his identity, and how you come back from that, and
worse,
like actions.
That's kind of
and he got turned into a crazy monster too, right? Yeah, it feels like you'd want years of ongoing work to.
And maybe he got it, and they just didn't show us that. But the whole, remember when he was describing to somebody, I think it was Deanna, that he remembered it all. Like he remembered blowing up ships and all that stuff. So he was aware. It wasn't like he woke up and I did that.
Yeah, because he says he's tried to fight them the whole time, but he wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rough, though. Imagine that, though. You just feel this like constant struggle and fight for like the entire time. He was like that's what is like.
Oh my goodness.
But
It's a horrific picture, right? Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, never mind the mental issues with that he would probably be. Well, he did suffer from this. Like just the fact that he was integrated and assimilated by the Borg, Starfleet research would probably be all over that to pull his brain apart and figure out what he knew. Because if they
take him off even just for that, just for like all the
to get to the other side of the question now, exactly.
And yeah, it was a good idea that you brought up First Contact there, because they did bring a lot of this back up there, Adam. But it made me think in that first few minutes of First Contact, because they're even vague in the language they use from Picard.
Oh yeah, I know you're going to go
where they don't want to send Picard in the Enterprise to the battle, and he says Starfleet feels that a man who was once assimilated by the Borg should not be put in a situation where he should have to face them again. Is that because of what they did to him, or because of the threat they still think might be there? Like, which reason, or is it both? Like,
I thought it was the second. I thought it was. I always thought it was the second. First, when that came out.
You thought it's because they think he still may be a threat and may join them again.
He could switch back on.
Yeah, if they've still got something in him, right? And if it, and you know, on a perhaps bad note as well, he could just freeze, right? If he loses it in the middle of the battle and the Enterprise gets taken out, then they've lost their flagship. I
guess Riker could take over if he just freezes.
Well, ideally,
That's not the worst. Yeah. That's not the worst, I guess.
But Picard comes in and he's now fleet commander every time. It seems like I'm taking control of the fleet, and
I am Locutus. I'm taking control of the fleet. Wait, what? It's like what? No. So, okay. So back to that for a second. So if that's what we think, if we think they didn't want to send him to that battle because they think he's going to switch back on again, doesn't that answer this question?
Yes, it does. It really does.
In some measure, yeah.
Because if that's what they think, then should he be the captain of the flagship?
If the Borg are,
if that's what they think, like it's regardless of what we think, if that's what they think, is that like, does that not show us what they think? And if that's not what they think,
Davin, you're probably
doing there?
Absolutely right, and they probably should have put him in command of the Starfleet Academy.
The Farragut. To bring it out of the
well, but we see this as a trend of giving captains leeway in Starfleet. And I think, Adam, earlier on you brought up in a brilliant allusion Captain Maxwell of the Pegasus. And I think, he's what Picard could have become, right? And maybe this is something that Starfleet knows its captains tend to suffer, right? They're going to tend to suffer a setback or a catastrophe, and that's often a make or break point in a captain's career.
But Picard
maybe
was
that's
there.
Where they're looking at it from.
He was there in First Contact. It stops here.
Yes, he does get to. You're right. He does get to that point
in
a really interesting way. Yes,
we fall back. No more.
Oh wow.
True. It just so happened that
their trajectories along that line.
Yeah, see, a lot of captains could have hit that line and it just ruined everything. But like he can hit a place like that, and he's just so competent, and so is his crew, that they managed to win the day anyway. But that's not where they want Picard to be, in a place where he's just kind of unreasonable. And
yeah. Again, had they been writing it now, that might have been what we saw happen, right?
I think that they would have done it differently today. But not. I mean, they would never pull like Patrick Stewart off the captaincy. And honestly, I really did like how that whole family episode went, and
it was great.
Oh, it's
one
beautiful.
of my favorites.
Yeah, like it went fine for But this is just the question is fantastic, because in reality, with this, I think that he would have had probably never been put back out in space. He would have had a nice, safe, either desk job somewhere or running the academy, or maybe he would have gone with Galen, his mentor, and being an archaeologist, and that was that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, and this, maybe this testifies to a systemic problem with how we either write Starfleet administration or Starfleet administration as such. We see lots of admirals and that kind of stuff. Maybe there's a point at which they become removed enough from these things of like, we'll throw him out on one more mission and see how he does, Oh my gosh, you've got a stripy co-pilot.
I do. Tell him he's a
man.
cat.
Ready feline supplement.
I've got one bigger than that. Hold on, I gotta show you this.
Oh jeez. You can't even lift it.
Oh my gosh, look at that guy.
Oh, look at it. It's it's a friend. Look at those blank little eyes. Like, what? You're named after Miles O'Brien, aren't you? Yes, you are. Get out of here,
brain cell. Oh man, that's great.
Well, let's see if we've what do you got? Anything else to say on this one, fellas?
No, I think we're gonna say some stuff on it actually. Move to the next.
I guess so. Well,
we're about
bring in the info. But should Picard have been removed from duty after the events of Wolf 359? Adam.
Yes. I think for two reasons. First of all, I don't think they understood his mental health and what he, just the physical, what he being turned on again. Actually, three reasons. So, the well-being of Picard. Two is, would he have been? They don't understand the capabilities of the Borg, and could he be switched back on? Three, he was assimilated, for crying out loud. This is their greatest enemy ever. They could probably learn a lot if they figured out how to reach the inner part.
I didn't think of that. So there is three sides. Yeah.
I think my answer is yes for at least a little while.
Yeah.
For
Fair enough.
purposes, Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in this question that says removed forever.
And one more just point on this, because I always want to know more. Like when they took Tom Paris out of that penal colony or what rehabilitation colony, I just always wanted to know more about what they do and like how do they treat their criminals, and
it looks pretty lavish in there. I think they're just lawn bowling and jet skiing and.
But I'm talking about look to say the Norwegian model of corrections and some of the Scandinavian models, which have
hot tubs,
they have high quality of life, and they tend to look to reintegrate someone socially, as the other end result of that sort of reforms we've technically been on since we decided to reform Kingston Pen all those decades ago here in Canada. But yeah, I mean, it looks like that, although maybe that's only a certain kind of prison. We know Cardassian prisons are certainly way nastier.
Yeah,
we know about prisons that are only in your mind,
which is incredible. True. 20 years served in 5 minutes or whatever. I mean, that.
Oh man,
hard time.
It still seems like a good model for corrections, because you get people still get to live like a whole life. But whatever. That's not our question right now. We need to find out probe.
And I'm going to say yes as well.
There's some things about the Federation that I would love to know more about, and it's just like how the society actually exists outside of Starfleet. Like how do they deal with war criminals? How do they deal with, Anyway, it's just
absolutely.
All right, let's fire off another probe.
Did Picard deserve the scorn he received from Sisko due to the death of his wife? Now, we're referring, of course, principally to the actions of Emissary Part 1 and 2, the pilot episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and one of the best pilots ever, in my opinion. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Particularly those crazy scenes at the start where we actually witness the Battle of Wolf 359, in which occurs the death of General.
God, it's gut-wrenching. It's like they have to drag him away from his dying wife. It's like, oh my God, I can't leave her. It's like, oh my God, this is a Star Trek show. This is going to be intense.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to open, right?
And it was.
It was a great way to open. And Dave, this is almost the tipping point of when they started dealing with things head on.
Mm-hmm.
because we just came out of Star Trek Next Gen, and now this opens like this. Like, this is ballsy, different.
Well, not even that. It's not the end of Next Gen. We've just seen the best of both worlds, and then this show starts. So, like, this show starts.
Did that start in 88?
After Locutor.
Oh
no,
my gosh!
No, in like
mid-season 89?
Yeah, there were 3 seasons left of.
Replacement.
Yeah, there were 3 seasons left of TNG when this started, because then after it ended, Worf joined DS9 in season 4.
You're right.
So,
but that's what was so compelling about the opening of this show.
Oh, first episode was 1993. Sorry.
Okay, so there was one crossover year.
Yeah,
okay.
1 or 2. Yeah. So they had a bit of time to think about World 359, and then they went back to it for the pilot.
All right. So,
it's still pretty fresh.
Yes. So this. One thing we didn't even talk about, I guess, which is sort of part of the mental health aspect of Picard and everything he went through, but kind of leads into this a little, is, I mean, there's not even, the word should isn't right, but how much culpability? Because, like, obviously Sisko is holding Picard some amount of responsible for the death of his wife. How much responsibility should Picard feel for that? Like, let's not look at it for Picard's from Sisko's point of view for a minute. Let's look at it from Picard's point of view first. Why don't we?
Wow. I mean, I don't see how you wouldn't escape like an abyss of guilt, at least on some level, without some serious reflective work. Because especially if you remember doing all of it, the sense of the violation of his own values systematically in each moment as they're mining him for information on how to do this stuff. Like, that's a kind of horror that's difficult to imagine.
Is a close real world analogy, perhaps, I have become death. Destroyer of worlds.
Interesting.
What was it? Oppenheimer?
Sure. Robert Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Certainly
we know that there's lots of letters that go on. Leo Szilard and others who are in and around the Manhattan Project, and Einstein himself begin writing from before the time they have an active bomb that they desperately need to stop this work because it is going to determine the course of history from here out in some sense, right? And it will do it badly. Wow,
like what they're saying with like counter life or whatever that is, mirror life or whatever they theoretically figured out how to do it. Like, yeah, scientists are like, yeah, you don't don't. And
to another degree, right?
Mirror disease.
I forget who it's attributed to, but there's somebody who, it's either an American military or scientific military figure who arrives at either Nagasaki or Hiroshima, and as they're inspecting it, declares science didn't do this. In like this amazing compensatory impulse, right? Science didn't do this at the site of a nuclear bomb blast.
Men did. Is that what they were getting?
Right, and it's like the ultimate guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Kind of, yep. I
mean, listen, when you think about never mind. I mean, Manhattan Project was giant, started a whole. Never mind what it became, but when you was listening, you ever listen to Dan Carlin?
Yeah, Hardcore History.
Hardcore History. He's talking about. I was listening to the one about World War I, Battle of the Somme, and he's talking about British generals. The Cornwallis stands out, who were sending in tens of thousands of men to die. And then you get you think of all the battles and for all of the times we are sending in. Never mind our enemies. This is our own men into battle, and we're expecting 50% casualties.
And on the Somme, some regiments took up to 95% casualties. The Newfoundlanders took 96% casualties. So the Langston Yorks took 98%, right? It's crazy.
And when you're talking the number of men in these battles, over time. Like it's just a generation gone, wiped out, and and it's, can these people live with it? Yes, clearly they can live with it, but what does it do to them? I don't know. Like there was no study back then.
Interestingly, it tended to officers after the Second World War tended to have a shorter lifespan post-war.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stress will kill you.
Huge numbers of suicides and an enormous amount of like stress deaths and things. Now, I mean, you'll find lots of books who live to like a ripe old age, but yeah,
some of them over 100.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you find that there's a really fascinating. You got me on the First World War, and this is a dangerous like cork to pull out here. But I think it's the Journal of Agar Adamson, who was the regimental commander of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry in the First World War. If you get a chance to get a copy of it, the shift in his attitude from before they get to the war theater and after is incredible, right? Like there's this point where he's like, oh yeah, on the trip over, we had to like execute a couple of the men because they were getting rowdy, right? He's like, that's just how you got to do it. And then he gets there and it's like, oh my God, this is just like hell on earth. And I didn't know what I was doing. Right. And yet he still does it absurdly every day, right? He shovels them forward into this meat grinder every day. You're so right, Adam.
I can't remember what it was now, but I saw some sort of mini documentary or something. It was like a long time ago, might even been in high school, where they showed like a bunch of the letters a lot of the soldiers wrote on their way across the ocean to Europe. And then like their first or like their 10th or whatever it was letter home. And it's just like the difference. There's just like, it's like no more optimism or gung-ho attitude anymore, is it?
It's like I just hope I get home, you know. And you see a lot of duty and a lot of like being brave in the middle of it, but at the same time, yeah, all of that other stuff kind of evaporates. But yeah, I would think that, and I think we do see in later in Picard, we see Jean-Luc Picard, who has been, hey Sam, as he says, a stranger to himself so many times that he's got a very
one of the best lines
alienated sense of self in some ways, right? And I think there's that may be inescapable. But for somebody like Sisko,
yeah, let's get back to Sisko's,
who immediately loses his wife in this, and whose family, in that sense, is suffers a kind of destruction. Does
it's like
I don't know if we can even ask, does he have a right to feel that way about Picard? Because of course he has a right to feel the way he feels, but is there some way in which Picard can objectively deserve the scorn and hatred of others for what happened at Wolf 359?
But so they've also done a pretty good job telling us over the years, especially in Next Gen, is this is the life we choose. You know, people die.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
a
little different when their family members die.
But families, wait, though families are on the ships. They've made that decision. It's still, things happen.
It's kind of like a decision made for them, almost in a way. But
well, we're almost back to the PALS battalions you referenced earlier, Adam, where like people from a town get put into a battalion, the battalion gets wiped out, the letters go all the way down all the streets in town, right? Yeah, like you can lose whole families if you lose a ship, right?
It's like how much, and also like how much scorn do we allow a fella for the death / like murder of his wife? You know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know how you like measure. Or, like,
well, I mean, you always, I mean,
he's allowed some sort of anger, and like he's
of course he is.
Like it's like not just anger that can kind of just like fade into the wind or whatever, because it's like it has a face in this instance. Like, well, whether rightfully or not, it has a face, and that's the face of Jean-Luc Picard.
And like that face was like this size on his view screen with Borg gear attached, saying, "You're all toast."
Yeah, they show that he's on his bridge and he's seeing that on his ship, Sisko. It's like, so yeah.
I think we all agree that he comes by it pretty honestly. But yeah, I don't know. This question of deserve is so
Deserve is a tough thing. It's like,
But you know,
so now we like
on a smaller scale, they touched on it with Picard, and you know, he brought back Jack Crusher's body to Beverly, and they never really dealt with that. But you know, we all knew about it, and you know, it was because of an order that Picard gave, or something happened. I can't remember the details.
he sent him on the mission, and it was like a pretty dangerous one.
Right. So his best friend,
you send the people most likely to complete it. You know.
Right. So you know. Like, you remember another episode that really, when Star Trek did this, they did it so well. The episode with Commander Darren and his love interest.
Great. Yeah.
You know, and they're in these, they've shielded themselves off from the firestorm. And then she describes watching somebody with the shield collapse and the burned up in front of her. Like, that's the kind of stuff just find fascinating, you know? And Picard can't deal with sending her on those kind of missions.
So I think
yes,
we've really examined where Picard is in all this, and where he should be feeling, or where he is feeling in all this. And I think we've sort of done the same with Sisko, maybe to a slightly lesser extent. But I think what we're really judging here with this word deserve is, what do we think their relationship should be like, because that's what this is, right? Like, they meet in this room, and all of a sudden they're confronted with one another. It's like, what do we think their relationship should be in that moment, or like it?
Well, I would not judge Sisko poorly for being angry with Picard, like, you know, but I think
in the face he wants to see walking through that door.
Which is kind of ironic, because Sisko becomes a pretty freaking bad guy along the way. It makes
whoa, sir.
Well, come on.
I don't know what you're talking about one bit at all.
That's fine. However, I was going to say is that as a captain or a commander in Starfleet, there has to be a recognition when things go badly. And in this case, clearly Picard was not in control and could not control his actions. Unfortunately, he was taken over. That's the way it is. Now, does he still, and that comes back to your first question, does he still have a place in Starfleet? Should he be out there dealing with his people that he fought as Lucius?
Yeah. And honestly, like, how mad must Sisko be at Starfleet for being like, right, so I get to this station, but is the person you have to send me Picard?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, couldn't you have sent me any other bloody shit?
Yeah, that's why he's like, maybe I'm just going to leave Starfleet. I'm kind of pissed off right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, a better instance almost of that reaction to Picard is, Todd Stashwick's character. What's his name in Picard?
Captain, what's his name? Captain Grumpy Pants.
Yeah, Grumpy Pants.
Yeah.
God, I can't believe I can't remember his name right now. But yes, Todd Stashwick's character.
I love that guy.
His reaction to Picard, because same thing. Basically, his whole backstory was almost the exact same of Sisko's, rather not being his wife. But it's like, his reaction to Picard is the exact same reaction. He's just like, you're the face I see in my nightmares. Like,
yeah, and it was interesting that they showed another person having that reaction, because like, I wonder if he would be one of those polarizing figures, because there would be like your Picard fans, you know, who would like go join the Greyhawks or something, right? And they would have some sort of fan association, and they'd be all about Picard and be like, oh, and look at him, and like, he survived this thing. And then you'd have people
like all those kids were when Wesley went to
there.
school. Like,
Captain Shaw.
Captain Shaw, thank you.
Thank you.
And then you have people like Shaw or others who were serving during that time. And they said, like, you do not know what this did to Starfleet, or what it did to me, or what it did to the people I came up through the academy with, or
like my entire crew.
Because of Picard's stature in Starfleet, because he's a senior captain anyway. and then becomes an admiral. Like and 11,000 lives were touched. So imagine the spin-off and once you start branching out.
Well, exactly.
And you remember, yes.
Yeah, like the 3 degrees of separation there. Like everyone knows somebody who was killed by Picard almost.
Well, exactly. Let me put it this way, right? I did a funeral a couple of weeks back for and it was a really quick one. This lady didn't want a funeral in the church around. She wanted it graveside, boom, real fast. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. I was hoping there'd be a few. This person, there must have been 65 people who gathered for a 15-minute thing at a graveside, right? And you think about that, and that's not something that's going to draw a huge number of people. If there's 65 or 100 people, just as an average, for every one of those 11,000, like, boom, look at the spider web that goes out to. And then think about all their connections, right? Like, there's probably not a family in Sector 001 at the very least that wasn't impacted by that. Like, you look at Newfoundland after the First World War, you'd have a similar level of impact, I suspect. At least in terms of like people who could say that I knew somebody who was there, or my uncle's plumber was lost there, or whatever.
We mentioned. You mentioned, Adam, how you don't begrudge Sisko his reaction when he first sees Picard in that scene. How do we feel about how Picard reacted in that scene, where he sort of just shuts down and looks away? He doesn't try to like talk to him about it or anything like that. Like, he's already given up at the very first notion of that topic. He just kind of shuts down.
So this is where this is where I think there was a gap in how we were, or he was treated between the Battle of World 359 and whatever his active duty, because I think he would have been prepared for those kind of this is not the first time this has happened, for sure.
You get the feeling in that
you really do get that impression. It's like, oh, I've been here, not again.
Yeah, and that's where, as a viewer, I would have liked to have known more. I just would have, and it's
DS9 both should have had 14 seasons, but that's
right. But it's such a significant part of Star Trek lore, and it was like a pivotal moment in that series, like how good it became afterwards, and it almost like it was just a quick, but it wasn't like that. There was so many good things afterwards. They just didn't get enough in it, in my opinion. I just wish there was more.
Yeah, that glimpse is so tantalizing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even like, without you say it would be different if it was written nowadays, but honestly, even if TNG had been DS9, you would have got more of that. DS9 confronted things like that more, whereas TNG just wanted to move on to the next episode for the most part.
Well, and that was the nature of the show too.
It was the nature of syndication and everything. It's like anything's fault. It's just the way it was.
Well, and there was no real story arc, really.
But you would have got more of that, I think. So I think the only thing left to deal with in this question is, I think we really, Dave, maybe you can figure this one out. I don't know. We really have to knuckle down on this word deserve.
Yeah. I mean, I think... Okay, so here's how I might come at this. So there's this guy named Rene Girard who talks about the notion of a scapegoat, right? And classically, the scapegoat is a literal goat on which the people would sort of symbolically heap their sins, and then it would go out into the desert, right? They'd send it away to take them all away from them, right? Like the ancient Greeks, like burying a hammer if it accidentally fell and killed somebody. They go take it to the limits of the city, take it apart, and bury it. So the blood,
or even like a sacrifice to a gods or whatever.
Yeah, well, and it's like, so like the responsibility is assigned. They talked about it in terms of moira or blood guilt, but or pollution in that sense. But right, I think there's a sense of that around Picard. He'll never escape the fact that he was Locutus of Borg. And so in some ways, I think he never really entirely escapes being a kind of Girardian scapegoat. Because there are a huge number of literal trespasses and sins and destructions and grievances that you can lay at his door. And the problem is that they're actually factual things, right? Like you were in command of them when they did all this crap. So like in some way he does deserve it. But I feel like it shows the limits of, in some ways, like the human capacity to forgive or the human heart, even under the circumstances of the Federation, that when you get hit hard enough, like you just can't not have some of that feeling carry through, you know?
And it's also like
Star Trek did touch on this, guys. Like, you know, Kodos the Executioner.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one,
Go on.
in Strange New Worlds, that Klingon general who, it was the last season. I can't remember exactly his name because I'm very bad with names.
Dakra.
You know it. That's the one. You know, they talk about him, and I think there's a couple of the Starfleet
maybe
officers.
top 5 episode of Star Trek for me. I freaking love that episode.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go back and watch it now. But the point being is that when it goes the other way, it's okay. You know, and
in what sense? Like when
an enemy, Kodos or the Klingon there, you know, when it's done against the Federation people, and you know, there's a grievous act committed. Like I don't think we would have had this word used. You know,
they're not as forgiving for the outsiders.
It's a kind of licit hatred or scorn.
Yeah, like would Kodos get the scorn? Did he deserve the scorn from not Kirk, his friend there? Yeah, the daughter, but more than his friend. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we could go on for hours on this actually.
Or beautifully inside Deep Space Nine, does what's his I forget the guy's name, but does the Cardassian guy deserve the relationship he has with Kira in the end? Like that maybe
Maritza, the guy who was pretending to be Maritza,
yeah,
you mean that guy?
And when she dies with him, or is with him at his time of dying, it's like that pair of episodes is absolutely nuts to me. It's
you're talking about the guy who was pretending to be her father, or you're talking about the guy who was trying to take on the guilt from
I've conflated them. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Maritza, not the guy, because
you're thinking of Duet.
The father comes back and
Duet.
dies when he's with her. Duet. I apologize. I conflated them for a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. I suppose it's because it's both her and her relationship to these adult male occupier Cardassian guys.
The only other thing I can think to really add to this conversation is from Sisko's point of view. He doesn't know I assume he doesn't know all the details around Picard's assimilation and everything in the first place. Like, he may think there's a number of human mistakes from Picard that put him in that situation in the first place or something. You know what I mean? Like, so he may blame Picard before he even became Locutus, because he doesn't have enough information. I don't know. So, well, let's tabulate. Let's get the processing here. All right. Dave, did Picard deserve the scorn he received from Sisko due to the death of his wife?
Yeah.
Adam.
I would agree. I don't think you can. I think, I'm just going to leave it there. Yes.
I'm going to agree with you guys. But it's for me, it's just like there's kind of like how you kind of have to give this guy an amount of scorn for the death murder of his wife, and the fact that he sort of has a face to it, and he doesn't have enough information necessarily to remove that face from that act.
Yeah.
So like, or could he ever get that amount of information?
It's not linear.
But again, you feel like this is where it's like Starfleet. Wouldn't they?
Poor Picard, man.
No kidding. Also, poor Picard. Sorry, Adam.
Poor Picard. Sorry, Adam.
I just think that they were gonna if they're gonna put a guy back in command, you might tell the whole story so people can understand what's going on.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. Whereas like the Picard after
I don't know how you have a staff meeting with like however many people are in Starfleet, but like you could sort of just have to pull you pull the crew together and you're just like, look, here's this. He's sorry. Like he didn't mean to. I don't think they did any of that, quite frankly.
Oh man!
I don't think they really had Picard's back in this instance. But before we move on to the fun stuff, as Adam made sure we had here, just like let's just focus a moment. Let's transition to Happy on the great feeling Picard must have had, and how great that feeling would be to feel when he realized that Sisko forgave him at the end of that episode. Like, you see it on his face in the acting and stuff too. Like he's quiet about it because he's Jean-Luc Picard, but it's just like he's just like, because you get the impression that's the first time that's happened. We've mentioned that we feel like he's gotten the negative a bunch of times. A bunch of officers that hate him, but I feel like that's the first time an officer was just like, you know what, I hated you and now I don't.
Like it's at the very least extremely rare. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, explains. I mean, Picard. We got the stoicism definitely in Escape from Farpoint of what he was. He was always removed from his crew, but
season one Picard's a dick. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, because you see other captains that seem more casual with their crew and things like that. They do that over the years. But you don't see that. And then even that episode where Wesley and Picard are in the shuttle together and he's talking about discipline and I wasn't always like this, but I need to be. But it really, he pulls back even further, I think, after Best of Both Worlds and very few of his inner circle know him. And he comes back at the end, the last episode ever. I should have done this years ago, let down my guard a little bit and played some poker games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, my chair's in the way. That piece of art right there. There it is.
There it is, yeah.
Oh yeah, there they are. Yeah.
Jenny Johnson, check out her art, everybody. You all know her. Get your Jenny Johnson track card on your walls. Anyway. Should we launch another probe there, fellas?
Let's do it.
We're all in agreement here tonight. We're getting lots of good info here. Which is why we do this, because in Debate 9, everyone just yells at each other about these things.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this.
I mean, yeah, Debate 9 is great too. Everyone go back and check all that out too. We'll have a new one soon. It's been a while since I yelled at anybody.
Also, check out our conversation with Jenny Johnson.
True, about the art of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good combo. All right, let's launch our final probe here of the night. Go ahead, Adam.
All right. Is Sub Rosa just good fun and did not deserve all the hate?
It didn't deserve all the hate.
Deserve it.
All right, well, let's talk about it. And this is where we find out if Dave Mater's watching the show. Is it Adam?
I was
Adam, why did you pick this one? Other than you wanted to lighten the mood.
First of all, I want to lighten the mood. When this always comes up on our other broadcasts or in podcasts, this is always a fun conversation because it's such a divisive episode as far as people liking or not liking. And I will say this:
it comes down to your opinions of sex scandals in general, I think. Yeah. But anyway,
but I came from the point of I hated this episode, but over the years of talking to you guys and particularly Dave Mater, I think that I've come around. I quite enjoyed this episode now. I'm going back every now and then, rewatching it. It's fun. It in a seasons where they could do 26 episodes or 25 or 27, whatever they did, they had room for this kind of stuff. And I think they did it well. Now it was season 7, wasn't it?
I think
so. Sub Rosa, it's 6 or 7.
Season 6 or 7.
I think it is 7 because 7 is when you could tell they were just like sort of starting to run out of ideas.
Yeah,
sometimes.
So it kind of belonged. I mean, like I said earlier, when they have 10 episodes, I'm a little more. I'm actually more stressed. I got to like them all, and I never do. But when you have this many, you can forgive a couple bad ones, but
sure.
over the years, I've grown to like this one a lot. Actually, I've grown to like a lot of the ones I didn't like back when they first aired a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the campy ones grow on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, my opening thoughts on this one, I think, is at least highly quotable because I'm like, it's a good thing I'm not Jewish because people would get sick of spending Hanukkah with me where like every night of Hanukkah I'm like, dinna light that candle. Like, I don't know. Because like literally if anyone lights a candle in a room that I'm in, I always yell that. You just hear in the background, dinna light that candle. Like, so there's that. It has that going for it. But also so here's the thing about this episode. I think where it gets, I think the things about it that are bad aren't necessarily the things specific to that episode, but it sort of reeks of some of the bad things about certain Star Trek episodes. Like a lot of the worst Star Trek episodes are episodes where you're like clearly they just heard from the costuming department that they inherited some costumes from a certain episode of a different TV show, and they just needed to build an episode around it. And it just sort of felt like one of those episodes. It's just like, okay, they're here. They, for some reason, where Beverly's from, everyone dresses like they're in like 1860s Scotland or whatever. Like, because we have these costumes in this set for some reason. Like it feels like one of those episodes. It's just like, why is this an episode of Star Trek? Why are we here? Why is this the thing? It's just one of those. But if you get past all that and you watch it and you just laugh at the sex ghost and how much Beverly loves her sex ghost and start to think about how the fact that she's sharing her grandmother's sex ghost. Actually, you know what, Adam? I'm actually kind of going the other way again all of a sudden. Dave, Adam, so when do you guys start talking?
So for my opening thoughts, I thought I'd take us down a little bit of a different route. So I looked at the etymology of the term sub rosa. Sub rosa, of course, goes back to
deep
Roman
red, or is
times
it
the rose itself, which is Rosa, or the rose was a symbol of secrecy. So often the feasting rooms in a Roman villa would be painted with roses on the ceiling to remind people that what they may talk about or gamble on about with when they're under the effects of wine should stay right under that roof and not go anywhere else.
Well, I don't know about secrecy, but as a man who's dealt with many a rose in his life, they're at least sneaky.
Right? They'll get you. They'll poke you.
So, Dave, as you're saying this, just hold that thought for one moment. I got to describe to you. There's a bar in Calgary called Sub Rosa. Why go? Why go? A hushed lower haven, Sub Rosa offers patrons a coveted escape from the ordinary, featuring stylish design, masterful cocktails and top entertainment, and an elevated lounge experience. But I love the word here, hushed lower level haven.
If I don't walk into that bar and there's not like candles lit everywhere, I'm walking out.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, I think there's a really interesting sort of through line in this episode about like family secrets or about like those things that we inherit that we don't really necessarily understand. But yeah, it's also
I think
just
that
like
works better if you're not
wrong.
sharing your grandmother's sex ghost. I get what you're saying. I just think that works better.
The whole
just
thing
feels
is
like
complicated by the other thing that was complicated by the sex ghost is that the sex ghost was also Zorro from Saturday morning like live actions in the 80s when I was a kid. He played Zorro in a TV show, and when Zorro was the sex ghost, I'm like, well, he's in the right period clothing, but this is freaking weird.
Wasn't he? Was he? Some. I'm thinking he was not Bareil, but what's Kira's other dude? The former Resistance guy. Shakar.
Shakar.
Wasn't that?
He looks an awful lot like Shakar if he doesn't play him.
No, he just looks like him, right? No, it's not Shakar.
Yeah, but it was. I've always.
Yeah.
confused by this episode because Zora was a sex ghost.
It's just like it's weird. Like there's the groundskeeper, and he's just like, "Didn't light that candle because your grandmother, like, she couldn't get any work done because of this sex ghost." And like, you're a doctor in Starfleet, you need to get your work done. Like, I don't.
Shit about sex ghost.
And here's the other thing I wanted to say to Adam about the initial point about how it kind of reeks of the bad things of Star Trek. It's also like one of the other bad things about Star Trek until Deep Space Nine is they didn't know how to write women characters, and if they gave a woman an episode, it had to be a romance episode, and usually a very bad romance episode. And it reeks of that as well. It's just like, oh, great, we get a Beverly episode. Of course, she's just like infatuated with the sex candle. Of course. Like,
well, actually, I'm reading, to that point, though, I'm reading
the Deanna episode, right? Right?
I'm reading.
You can easily put Deanna in that spot, but anyway, continue.
But you're right. Actually, it's how they rate women on Star Trek. Sometimes is very
sexist. TNG, yeah. and definitely TOS.
Yeah. Make no mistake, this is a terrible, terrible hour of so-called science fiction. There's also a cheese fest, so absurd you almost wonder if it was meant to be in jest.
Like who wrote it? I don't know. I think it was written by a woman. Actually,
it could have been like a weird holodeck adventure just as easily, you know. And honestly, would have made more sci-fi sense as that.
Yeah, it actually would have. And
like the weird
would have filled in with like what do they call it? Hollow addicts, you know, like
yeah.
Like could have fell into hollow addiction, yeah.
But like its closest Star Trek equivalent, as far as I can tell, is the Red Jack episode from the original series.
Red Jack.
Right, where you have this thing that claims it was Jack the Ripper running around on the ship.
So guys, to answer your question, teleplay was by Brennan Braga. The story was by Jerry Taylor, and it was directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, so story was by a woman, Jerry Taylor, but yeah, Brennan Braga, that makes sense. And Rick Berman definitely makes sense. Okay, I get it now.
Jonathan Frakes.
Directed by Frakes? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's badly directed.
I don't
know how you turn that into a lemon. I don't know how you shine.
He must have had a hell of a fun time doing that episode, though. Like, you know,
probably
just the insinuations and
just laughing at Gates the whole time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
No cliche goes unused as the writers and the producers channel haunted houses ideas that have been clearly used for years. Green lightning, thunder, wind, faces and mirrors that aren't there when you turn around. Beverly getting possessed. It's all there.
But what do you guys think of my hypothesis there? Do you think it gets hate for the content of the episode itself, or the fact that it's like cliche, all the bad things kind of about Star Trek? Like,
I personally, I'm not sure I loved. I like the episode now. I don't like when they, you know, when Beverly goes on about her aunt Adele's nutmeg, whatever, and
she was a witch.
So this is the side of that character I don't love anyway. But I'm
telling you, I like Pulaski better than Crusher. I'm pretty sure.
I think we talked about that on one of these one night. I agree with you sometime.
Oh, I said that on the review on Thursday, and I got shouted down pretty hard.
Oh, I wish I was there. I would have backed you up. I tend to agree with you.
Because there was the episode where like Pulaski does the tea ceremony with Worf and everything.
Yes,
it's like all this great stuff that like, oh, she does so much good stuff.
She's strong. She's a strong, and they didn't try to make her beautiful and all this stuff. And like Gates McFadden had some great episodes. Like she did, but they weren't as, you know, I think there was more like Diane Muldoon or Mulder.
Diana Muldoon.
Yeah, she was. You know, in that one one season, she had a lot of strong roles.
Yeah, I made the point that I know this is a tangent, but I made the point that everyone hates her because she called Data, but after that episode, she's just like awesome in all her episodes, I find. And I made the point that because I was getting shouted down because they just like, oh, but she's grumpy and she's so like, cantankerous and all this stuff. And I just kind of countered with, I feel like if she was a man, everyone would have been fine with that.
You're right. And she took on Picard.
Yeah. Which people would have thought was awesome if she was a man, I think.
Yeah. Anyway,
tangent. But I like Pulaski is my point. And a Pulaski episode would have been better than this episode, I think, because they wouldn't put Pulaski in one of these romance episodes. They would have just gave her a cool episode, probably. But
no sex scandal for Pulaski.
No sex scandal for Diane.
Is your verdict here?
But anyway, weird tangent. So, anything else to say on this episode before we bring in the data? The data?
The data?
So, the data.
Let's move on to the data.
Indeed.
All right. Well, Adam, I suppose they're just good fun and didn't deserve all the hate.
I agree with that. I think it's a good fun episode if you get beyond all the hate. Honestly, like just how many years ago was that episode? Now it's fun when you look back. You kind of roll your eyes and go, "Wow, did they just do that?" I mean, she had sex with a ghost, for crying out loud. So it's a good episode. It stands up. We're talking about it today.
Dinna light that candle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it deserves some fun to get poked at it, but yeah, it's certainly not the worst episode of Star Trek by any measure. Yeah, so I don't think it deserves all the hate.
So I'm going to agree with everything you guys said, but I think I'm sort of going to come down on the other side of this. So what? Because I think I got to be honest about this, which is I do skip it in my rewatches generally. I do season or complete series rewatches of Star Treks all the time, and this one didn't really get skipped for me. So I got to be honest about that. And I feel like this is it's the epitome of the reason why I do like Pulaski better than Crusher. Like, it's just a Crusher episode where same with Deanna, where it's just like a silly romance. It's like I'd rather them use her for something better. So yes, it is. All the things you're saying is fun. It's true. It's fun and weird, and we laugh at it. But at the same time, I don't want to laugh at her. Like a Crusher episode. I want an awesome Crusher episode where she's being an awesome character, which she shows hints of sometimes, and actually does get to be at very, very, very rare times. But so yeah, it just kind of reminds me of that a bit too much.
She became a really great role in Picard season 3. I think that's when she was her strongest.
Don't say that to the Millards.
No.
But no, I agree with you. I don't think she was really a character until Picard season 3, hardly. We're certainly not one with much agency beyond just kind of enhancing the characters around her. But yeah, so maybe slight disagreement on this one. Dave already said he.
Well, I think I think some scorn is deserved, but maybe not. Yeah, maybe not as much as it gets.
I guess for me, it's just the merits that you talk about, Adam, don't quite outweigh the things I don't like that it makes me think about.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Which is probably why I skip it. Because my biggest thing, which is the reason I know I might get some flack for this, but the reason I haven't finished Discovery is the worst feeling in the world for me is not enjoying Star Trek or being forced to watch Star Trek or like it feeling like a chore to watch Star Trek. Like Star Trek is my bag, and it should be very easily. I should be very easily swayed by Star Trek. So if you're like not swaying me by Star Trek, you're kind of just fucking something up. I feel like that's just me.
I hear you. I see your point on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
same with X-Men. It's just like if you bore me with X-Men, you're not doing something right.
Well, You know what? Like, and I hear you, because I don't like ever having to come on and pretending I love an episode or trying to find the merits in it when they're just not there. And when you come back to that last movie with whatever it was called, the one that just released in January.
What? Oh my God, Section 31.
Yeah.
Oh, a 0 to 10. It was an absolute trash factory.
It really was. And so there's no redeeming merits in that. Like, but I find
there's no like, oh, I just hated it at the time, but now I like it. No, that's not going to happen with that movie. No. So there's nothing there.
It's like I couldn't wait for it to end.
No, I don't even know if I watched the last 20 minutes. I don't know. It was awful. Yeah, we're not talking about that, but that's the point I was trying to make. So I had to shut that one off because I'm like, no, it's a bad feeling in Star Trek at the same time.
Yeah,
having that. Yeah. So I think we probed some interesting topics here tonight, fellas, and I think we
did.
Yeah, good discussion as
always. Gallons of tea.
We did, but it's not hot anymore.
Indeed, that's true. That's true.
You know what would be fun one night, just to talk about the worst episodes in Star Trek.
Oh man,
we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a fun one.
Like, what? We all like pick one. We each pick what we think it is. Oh, Spock's Brain.
Yeah. Code of Honor.
Anyway, for me, there are actually worse TOS episodes than Spock's Brain. But that'd be a fun episode. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we should I don't know. Me and Justin were talking about an idea where we just play the worst Star Trek episodes in a small screen and just bash the crap out of them while we're watching the really bad ones.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, basically, but for Star Trek.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea too. But
all right,
unless there's anything else to say.
Oh, guys, just always great to see you and be with you. And it's a fun hour and a bit here tonight. So thank you.
Indeed.
Same.
Thanks again, guys. In that case, end transmission.